Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about something called a discovered check. A discovered check is a very important move in chess because it allows us basically a free move. If you could get two free moves or in chess, if you could move twice for every one move of your opponent, you would be able to beat probably everybody, including Magnus Carlsen, the world champion. So it would be pretty easy just because you're getting the advantage of extra moves. And I'm going to show you an example of how a discovered check works. Now, as you know, being in check is just having a piece that can attack the king, right? So in this situation, if we wanted to just put the king in check, we could move the rook here, and that would be check. That's a normal check, right? But in this situation, there's a bishop here between the rook and the king. And the king's not in check because the rook is blocked by this bishop. So in this situation, there's a couple things we can do. So let's just say that we want to do two things. We want to be able to capture this queen, but if we just move to attack the queen, it would take the piece. But in this situation, we have a couple things we can do. The first thing we can do is we can move this rook, right, out of the way, anywhere we want. Let's say we move it here. Well, we're checking the king. So the problem is the king has to move or you have to block, right, because it's in check. Well, if you noticed, I moved the bishop here, right in front of the white king, and if we move the king over here, then we just take the black queen. Free move, right? We got a free move because black couldn't move the queen because of the check. We could do it this way too. If we wanted, we could just move the bishop here. It's still check. The queen in this case would either have to block or take, and that's what would happen. The queen would take here, and then the king would take, right? And you would be trading these two pieces. Obviously, the best move here between these two moves would be playing this because you block the queen from being able to take your rook, and then the king's in check. The only other thing to do is you can move your queen here to block it. You could move your queen here to block it too, I guess, and then rook take, king take. You still trade the pieces, right? So, but the bottom line is it all worked because of this discovered check, okay? So when you're playing your games, look for these discovered checks. They're very important. They're essentially free moves. I'll show you an opening later on where I've played this a bunch of times where I use a discovered check. Actually, I'll just show you now. So the situation is like this. The king is castled. It's over here in its hiding space, and the queen's here. And there's obviously more pieces on the board. But in this situation, it's sort of set up like this, where you take the bishop and you check the king. Oh, it's not a discovered check. It's just a check, but it's a discovered attack on this queen, right? The queen wasn't being attacked before, now it is. And then the king takes, and then the rook would take, and then of course the pawn would take, and you've got 10 for 8. So you do win here. It's a theme on the discovered check. It's just called the discovered attack. So look out for those. As you're playing chess, you'll see these discovered attacks and discovered checks. They're very powerful if you can get them set up, and it'll increase your chess repertoire. Thanks for watching my video, and we'll see you on another video, Chess 101. Thanks.